We have been lied to about what makes a man truly desirable. We are told by the media, by movies, and by surface-level dating coaches that attraction is a math equation based on your height, the symmetry of your jawline, or the price of the watch on your wrist. But if that were true, then the pretty boys would win every single time. And we all know that's not how the real world works. We've all seen that one guy who isn't the tallest, isn't the most muscular, and certainly isn't the most handsome by traditional standards. Yet, when he walks into a room, the energy shifts. Women turn their heads, men subconsciously make a path for him, and he commands a level of respect that seems almost magical. That isn't magic, it's biology. Within the first 7 seconds of meeting you, a woman's primitive brain has already performed a high-speed status scan. Before you even open your mouth to say hello, her subconscious has categorized you as either a leader, a peer, or a subordinate. And the most heartbreaking part, most men, even the ones who have spent hours at the gym or thousands on their wardrobe, are accidentally leaking submissive energy through their body language. They are walking around with a defensive turtle posture, hiding their most vulnerable points and signaling to every woman in the vicinity that they are anxious, uncomfortable, and low status. In this breakdown, I am going to reveal the one psychological body language trick that overrides every other physical trait. We are going to move past the sit-up straight advice your mother gave you and dive into biological dominance. I'm going to show you the exposure principle, a specific way of opening your torso and neck that tells her primitive brain you are a man of extreme confidence and high survival value. We'll talk about the eyes of the leader, the power of masculine stillness, and why the way you claim the space around you is the ultimate aphrodisiac. If you are ready to stop being invisible and start being the man who is felt the moment he enters the room, stay with me. This is how you hack the biological code of attraction. I'm Isabella, and if you've been following this channel, you know we don't do sugar-coated advice. We look at the raw mechanics of human nature. Before we dive into the first high status shift, I want to settle a debate right here in the comments. The internet will tell you that you have to be 6 ton tall with a perfect face to even get a look. But I want to know, have you ever seen a man who was completely average in height or looks, yet he absolutely dominated the room? A man who walked with such a grounded presence that every woman there wanted to know who he was. If you've seen that happen, then you already know that looks are only a small part of the equation. If you're ready to master the internal game that projects external power, type presence over looks in the comments right now. It's time to stop making excuses about the things you can't change and start mastering the things you can. Let's get into the primitive brain and why her safety filters are the first thing you need to bypass. To understand why body language is more powerful than any pickup line, you have to understand the triune brain. Deep beneath your conscious thoughts and your ability to reason lies the reptilian brain and the limbic system. This part of the human biology doesn't care about your job title or how funny your jokes are. Its only job is survival. When a woman first sees you, her amygdala, the brain's almond-shaped radar for threat and status, is performing a lightning-ass audit of your physical presence before you've even finished your first sentence. She has already answered 3 subconscious questions. Is he dangerous? Is he weak? Or is he a leader? If you walk in with closed body language, shoulders hunched, hands in pockets, chin tucked, her primitive brain categorizes you as low survival value. To her biology, you look like someone who is trying to protect his vital organs from a predator. You look like a man who is afraid of his environment. And here is the cold truth of Isabella-style psychology. You cannot be attractive if you appear anxious. Anxiety is a signal of low status in the animal kingdom, and it triggers a safety filter in a woman's mind. If her subconscious doesn't feel like you are a grounded, safe, and dominant presence, she will never allow herself to feel the spark of attraction. Her biology simply won't permit it. Most men try to talk a woman into liking them. They try to use logic, humor, or kindness to bypass this filter. But you cannot use a new brain solution for an old brain problem. Attraction is not a choice she makes. It is a response to the signals you are sending out. If you want to bypass her safety filters and trigger an immediate interest response, you have to speak the language of the amygdala. You have to project a level of comfort and spatial dominance that says, I am the most relaxed person in this room. When her primitive brain sees a man who is completely unbothered by his surroundings, it stops seeing him as a threat or a weak peer and starts seeing him as a high-value alpha. We are going to hack these biological filters. We are going to stop trying to convince her mind and start commanding her instincts. To do that, we first have to identify the status leaks that are currently killing your vibe. We're moving into section 4 to look at the defensive turtle, the number one mistake that makes even the most handsome men look invisible. The most common status leak I see, and one that instantly kills attraction, is what I call the defensive turtle. Think about what a turtle does when it's startled or feels a threat in its environment. It pulls its head and limbs into its shell to protect its soft, vulnerable parts. Humans have the exact same hardwired instinct. When a man feels even a tiny bit of social anxiety, his body subconsciously tries to shrink. He hunches his shoulders forward. He tucks his chin slightly toward his chest to protect his neck. And he often crosses his arms or fiddles with his watch or phone in front of his torso. To your conscious mind, you're just standing there. But to her primitive brain, you are screaming, I am afraid of the people in this room. I am protecting my vital organs because I don't feel like I belong here. This is the ultimate low-status signal. High-value men, the ones who naturally attract women without saying a word, never look like they are protecting themselves. They look like they own the space. When you turtle, you are signaling that you are high maintenance to her biology. A woman's subconscious is looking for a man who is a safe harbor, someone who is so comfortable and unshakable that she can feel safe around him. If you look like you're barely surviving the social pressure of the room, her attraction for you will vanish instantly. It doesn't matter if you have a six-pack or a designer suit. If your body is in defense mode, you are projecting submissive energy. The biggest tragedy is that many men do this because they want to appear polite or not too aggressive. They try to take up as little space as possible so they don't offend anyone. But in the world of Isabel-style psychology, polite shrinking is just another word for invisible. If you want to be desirable, you have to stop hiding. You have to be willing to be exposed. You have to move from the defensive turtle to the high-status exposure. In the next section, we're going to look at the exact opposite of the turtle, the exposure principle. This is the one trick that will make you look instantly more masculine and desirable by changing how you handle your vulnerable points. If the turtle is the posture of a man who is afraid, the exposure principle is the posture of a man who is a king. In the animal kingdom, the most dominant creature is the one that is comfortable, enough to expose its most vulnerable parts. Think about a silverback gorilla or a lion. They don't hunch over to hide their chests or necks. They lead with them. Humans have the exact same biological hard wiring. When you consciously decide to stop protecting your center line, the vertical strip that runs from your throat down your solar plexus to your navel, you are sending a high-frequency signal of unshakable confidence. The trick is remarkably simple, but the psychological impact is massive. To be instantly more desirable, you must keep your frontal plane open. This means you never cross your arms when speaking to someone. You never hold your drink directly in front of your chest like a shield. You never tuck your chin. Instead, you keep your shoulders back, your chest open, and your palms visible. In the Isabella world, we call this the high status 5. You are essentially saying to every woman in the room through your biology, I am so secure in my own skin and so dominant in this environment that I don't feel the need to defend myself from anyone. When a woman sees a man who is exposed yet relaxed, it triggers a deep attraction response. Her subconscious interprets your openness as a sign of high testosterone and low cortisol. It tells her that you are a man who can handle pressure. It tells her that you aren't hiding anything, not your intentions, and certainly not your fear. This is why a man in a simple t-shirt who stands with an open torso will always be more attractive than a man in a $3,000 suit who is turtling behind his lapels. Try this the next time you are out. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Let your arms hang naturally at your sides with your palms slightly turned forward and keep your chin level. It will feel vulnerable at first. You might feel a primal urge to cross your arms or put your hands in your pockets. Don't lean into that vulnerability. That exposed feeling is exactly what she perceives as magnetic power. By refusing to hide, you become the most honest and alpha presence in the room. You aren't just taking up space, you are claiming it. Once you've opened your posture and stopped turtling, the next status signal she will look for is your eye control. In the world of high-stakes attraction, your eyes are the windows to your internal state. Most men struggle with one of two extremes. They either avoid eye contact entirely because they feel unworthy of the interaction, or they stare too intensely, which comes across as aggressive, creepy, or try-hard. Neither of these signals high status. A leader doesn't need to prove his dominance by staring someone down, nor is he afraid to look a beautiful woman in the eye. The secret to the eyes of the leader is slowing down. High cortisol. Anxious people have a very high blink rate. Their eyes dart around the room, scanning for exits or checking to see if anyone is judging them. This shifty eye movement is a massive attraction killer. It tells her subconscious that you are mentally running away. To project instant desirability, you must practice a slow blink rate. When you look at her, do it with a heavy, relaxed gaze. It signals that you are processed, calm, and most importantly, completely present with her. But presence without warmth is just a stare. To make this trick work, you need to master the smice, smiling with your eyes. This involves a very slight contraction of the muscles around your eyes, the orbicularis oculi. It's that tiny crinkle you get when you're genuinely happy. When you combine an open, exposed torso with a slow, smiling gaze, you create a psychological bridge of trust. You aren't just a dominant male, you are a dangerous but safe man. You are showing her that you have the power to be a threat, but the self-control and warmth to be a partner. Think about the Isabel philosophy of the grounded man. He doesn't look away when she catches his eye. He holds the gaze for an extra second, gives a tiny, knowing eye smile, and then slowly looks away. He isn't seeking her approval. He is acknowledging her existence. This level of eye control shows that you are the source of the interaction. You aren't waiting for her to lead. You are leading the emotional energy of the moment with nothing but your sight. At the start of this video, I asked if you've ever seen an average-looking guy absolutely dominate a room. If you're starting to realize that his secret wasn't his DNA, but the fact that he was naturally using the exposure principle and the eyes of the leader, hit that like button right now. By hitting that button, you're telling the YouTube algorithm that we need more men who lead with presence rather than just superficial traits. You're joining a community of men who are tired of the black pill excuses and are ready to take ownership of their biological signals. But there's one more layer to this. You can have the best posture and the best eye contact in the world, but if you are leaking energy through your hands or your feet, she will smell the hidden anxiety. We need to talk about stillness because in the world of high-status psychology, the man who moves the least is often the one who holds the most power. Let's look at why your fidgeting is a silent killer of desire. If the exposure principle is the foundation of your attractiveness, stillness is the walls and the roof. In the world of high social hierarchy, there is a direct correlation between how much a man moves and how much power he holds. Think about the most powerful men you know, either in real life or on screen. They don't fidget, they don't tap their feet, they don't adjust their shirt every 30 seconds, and they don't touch their face when they're nervous. They have mastered the art of masculine stillness. When you fidget, you are leaking nervous energy. Your brain is trying to discharge the stress of the social interaction through small repetitive movements. To her, subconscious, this is a massive red flag. It tells her that you aren't comfortable in your own skin, that the environment is too big for you, and that you are reacting to the room rather than leading it. In the Isabella philosophy, we say that the man who moves the most is the one who is the most reactive, and reactivity is the opposite of attraction. The trick is to move like you are underwater. This doesn't mean moving in slow motion like a cartoon. It means moving with intentionality. Every gesture you make should have a beginning, a middle, and a clear end. If you're going to reach for your glass, reach for it with a steady, smooth hand. If you're going to turn your head to look at her, do it with a deliberate, controlled motion. This minimalist movement signals to her primitive brain that your nervous system is calm. It shows that you are unshakable. When you are still, you become a fixed point in the room. In a world full of people who are buzzing, with anxiety, checking their phones, and shifting their weight, the man who can sit or stand in perfect stillness becomes a magnet. It forces her to come to you mentally. It creates a vacuum that her curiosity wants to fill. By being still, you aren't being boring. You are being substantial. You are proving that you don't need to perform or entertain to be valuable. You are enough just as you are standing in your own power. The final layer of the body language hack is what I call the spatial claim. In the animal kingdom, status is measured by territory. The alpha doesn't just sit in the corner, he occupies the center. He isn't afraid to let his limbs drift slightly away from his body. Most men, because they are turtling or trying to be polite, keep their elbows tucked tight to their ribs and their knees locked together. They are physically apologizing for their own existence. They are trying to be as small as possible so they don't bother anyone. 2. The female subconscious, small equals subordinate. If you don't feel worthy of the 3F of air around you, she will never feel like you are worthy of her attention. To fix this, you need to practice proprioception, the awareness of your body in space. When you sit, let your arms rest on the back of the chair or the armrests. When you stand, keep your feet slightly wider than your hips. You aren't manspreading or being a jerk. You are simply refusing to shrink. This is the Isabella truth. Space is a proxy for power. When you claim your space, you are signaling that you are the landlord of your environment, not the tenant. You aren't asking for permission to be there. This creates a massive psychological pull because you aren't fighting for space. You appear settled. You appear like the mountain that doesn't move. A woman is naturally drawn to a man who provides a sense of expansive strength. If you can comfortably own the space around you, she feels like there is room for her within your world. If you are cramped and anxious, she feels like she would be a burden to your already stressed out nervous system. Stop apologizing for your size. Stop tucking your feet under your chair. Pre-out, breathe deep, and act like the floor you are standing on was built specifically for you. When you believe you belong there, she will believe it too. We have broken down the exposure principle, the eyes of the leader, the power of stillness, and the spatial claim. But before you go out and try to perfect your posture, I have to give you the most important Isabella truth of all. Body language is an outward expression of an inward reality. You can mimic these moves for an hour, but if you don't truly believe you are a man of value, your mask will eventually slip. The reason these hacks work is because they force your brain to align with your body. When you open your torso, you are telling your nervous system that you are safe. When you slow your blink rate, you are telling your heart to beat slower. You aren't just tricking her. You are training yourself to be the man you were meant to be. Don't use these tools to act like a high-status man. Use them to become one. The world doesn't need more actors. It needs more grounded masculine men who are comfortable in their own skin and who don't apologize for their presence. When you master your own biology, you stop being a victim of your environment and you start being the source of the energy around you. I want to hear from the men who are ready to level up. Which part of your body language has been your biggest status leak? Is it the defensive turtle hunch, or is it the nervous fidgeting that you just can't seem to stop? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you've stayed with me through this entire biological breakdown, if you're serious about moving from presence over looks, type I watch till the end below. It lets me know who is actually doing the work and who is just scrolling. If you're ready to dive even deeper into the psychology of attraction, human behavior, and the hidden mechanics of the mind, make sure to subscribe to Personality Psychology with Isabella. We are building something different here, something grounded, something real. Practice the stillness. Claim your space.